We have with us in the studio today Mr. Adelaja Adeoye, Publicity Secretary, Action Democratic Party, Lagos State. Welcome to SaharaTV, Mr. Adeoye.
Thank you so much.
So 2 days ago, we have a President Buhari sworn in. We would like you to know, how would you rate the first-time administration of President Muhammadu Buhari?
Well, if I have to be honest and be candid and also express the views of majority of Nigerians, nothing much has been, seen in terms of performance for President Buhari's first 4 years between 2015 and 2019. So there's nothing much that we can say he has achieved.
All right, so would you say he has not achieved at all, or there is nothing much? So let's be specific now.
That's what I'm saying. We cannot pinpoint at what he has achieved because their change mantra then was based on economy, fighting corruption, and all of these things. There's nothing you can say he has actually done. If you look at the economy, when he came into power in 2015, between 2015 and 2017, was the second time we had recession in Nigeria. The first time we had recession was when he was a military head of state in 1983, 1984, before he was, ousted through a military coup. So when he came back again, we had recession. Then coming about fighting corruption, there is no fighting corruption. He's only fighting his political enemies.
Talking about corruption, the president is being accused of talking too much without carrying out any action. We have corruption, we have insurgency, we have
banditry,
the economy of the country. Do you also agree with this notion that it talks too much, but no action to show for this?
Buhari is not even talking. How many times has he addressed the press? How many times has he done presidential chats? So you cannot say he's talking too much. He's not talking to anybody. He's only talking to his own inner caucus. Anytime he wants to talk, he go abroad. That's the only time you hear him talk. So you cannot actually say he's engaging Nigerians or he's talking to Nigerians. So is it what he says when he goes abroad, you count as, your president of your country is talking? If President Trump wants to talk, he goes to Oval Office and he addresses press. He talks to Americans. But here in Nigeria, the case is not the same. You see Buhari, you only see him in picture. You only see his media, loads of media hates, he has. They just come on Twitter, they tweet, they do all sort of stuff. So you cannot say that is talking. He's not talking, he's not fighting corruption. So you cannot say he's doing anything in regard to fighting corruption. This is not just, trying to downplay his possibly imaginary achievement. It is reality. From 2015 to 2019, how many people have been authentically convicted of corruption? If you want to start fighting corruption, corruption has to be holistic. You have to fight corruption, wholly and totally, not partially. Not that, PDP people who were former governor, former senator, or former this and that you are going after. We saw what happened during Babachi Lawal, that he was, accused of grass cutting scandal, I think about 500 million naira. Till today, Babachi Lawal was even the one that nominated this current, SGF. That is, what's it called? Mustafa Boss. So to tell you that these guys is just, a coronation of, illegality, and they are just running the government as they wish, then deceiving people that they are fighting corruption. So to me, they are not fighting any corruption.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the first-time administration of President Buhari?
I cannot rate him. I have told you. I have not seen anything. I have not felt the impact of governance. The only, trader money they do, sharing money here and there, that is not how economy can grow. If you look at Nigeria, if you look at the economy, before now, we used to have the poor people, we used to have middle class, then we have the rich, class. Right now, is either you are poor, you are rich. There's no middle class. Middle class has been wiped off. The people that we call poor people formerly, they are now called poor of the poor. Because Nigeria now has overtaken India as the poorest country in the world. We are now the poorest country in the world. In fact, let's just pray that as we go into the whatever they call next level, we don't overtake ourselves as the worst, poorest country in the world. So we should be praying that, because when you don't have anybody you are competing with, that means you are overtaking yourself as the world poorest country in the world in terms of economy, in terms of job creation, in terms of wealth creation. So those, I cannot rate him. If you're under 0 to 10 or whatever you call it, I cannot rate him for anything.
2 days ago, well, when President Buhari was sworn in, days ago, many people expected him to give a speech, inauguration speech, which is the tradition of the country for every president that is being sworn in. But President Buhari did not. Are you surprised by this?
I'm not surprised. You know why? I cannot be surprised. In 2015, we all saw the famous "I belong to nobody, I belong to everybody." At the end of the day, you find out that it was, it was a copy. They went to copy somebody's speech from somewhere, just to gain traction, just to excite Nigerians that, that we have a new government in power that is ready to, to fight corruption holistically, is ready to be a government for everybody. But at the end of the day, you find out that all these things are just mere, media stunts. So, so they don't want to repeat the same thing because they don't have anything to offer. They've seen what they have done. Naturally, if you were elected for a 4-year term and you are re-elected, the first thing you are supposed to tell Nigeria on your next inauguration is what you have achieved in the first 4 years, that, oh, I've been able to do this, I've been able to do that. Then this shortfall we have based on our projection. Then this is what we are going to do going forward. In the next 2 years, we are going to tackle our shortfall. Then our new program, we are going to consolidate on what we have been doing, or we are going to introduce new programs. So these were expectations of many Nigerians, or the normal thing that we should have heard from the president. But of course, because they don't have anything to offer, so they don't care. I told you earlier that he doesn't communicate with Nigerians. So why do you now expect him to come and tell you what he wants to do for the next 4 years? So it's absurd.
Looking at the relationship between the three arms of government, we can see that it was not quite rosy in the first administration of President Buhari. Do you think we should expect anything different this time around?
Well, for me, like, I've been an advocate. If you follow me on Twitter at Adelaja Adeoye, you see my tweets most of the time. And what I've been advocating for is that we need to have independent legislative arms of government. We don't want to have a legislative arm that is going to be rubber stamp for the presidency. Of course, they all share equal power. Both the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative arm, they have their separation of power. They have their distinctive functions. Executive, the lawmakers are to make law. Judiciary is to pass this, to give judgment, and executive is to execute whatever that they want to do. Maybe they want to construct bridges and the rest. So it's not the job of the National Assembly. Their own is to appropriate. Their own is to pass the budget and rest like that. But by the time you now begin to see a president that sees himself as the alpha and omega, he wants to control everything. So that means it is dangerous, because he's looking for absolute power. So once you give a president, someone like Buhari, an absolute power, if all of us, we are going to become victims in the country. So I commend the leadership of Senator Bukola Saraki for his doggedness, for his putting his stand on the on the ground, that this is my jurisdiction, and I have to manage it very well. I cannot afford to be a rubber stamp to the executive. So of course, the friction you are seeing is because this one wants to do the right thing and this one wants to control this one. And of course, it's not supposed to be like that. So if they still want to come with the same mindset of what they did between 2015 and 2019, of course, there are bound to be friction, there are bound to be problems in the country. There are bound to be a lot of setback. I agree that there should be mutual respect and understanding between the executive and the legislative arm of government. But in a case, I repeat, in a case where executive want to control, want to have absolute power, that is where the problem is. And our expectation is that the National Assembly election, leadership election, should be free and fair. There shouldn't be much interference. Of course, anybody can decide to support whoever they want to support. But I am calling on the member of the National Assembly to do the right thing. They were elected by the people. They are there to support and to represent the interest of the people. But by the time they make themselves a subject of the executive, then they have lost their power.
In this second term of President Buhari, what would you like to see? What area do you want him to focus on in this second term?
The only thing Nigerian people and myself are looking for is improved economy. We are looking at Nigeria, being one of the fastest growing economy around the world. I have a business mindset. I am not this kind of, policy, fighting corruption. At the end of the day, you find out that you are just, boxing, shadow. You okay? So we don't want a repeat of that. We want the guy to start, massive, revitalization of the economy, because the economy is battered as we speak. But don't forget also that a lot of things can still happen between now and the pronouncement from Supreme Court, because his presidency, the legitimacy of his presidency is being questioned by those on the opposition, Adelaja Adeoye, that Buhari did not emerge. So anything can still happen. That could even be reason why, they said, according to them, they want to do a low-key inauguration. So maybe they are afraid, maybe the evidences are overwhelming. So maybe that's why they are so even overwhelmed that, they cannot even give speech, to roll out their programs. So these are things that we also need to consider. But nevertheless, we're expecting that whatever time they have to spend, they should focus more on the economy. They should focus on job creation for the young people. They should also ensure that across the country, the security problem we are having, banditry, Fulani, Esme, killings here and there, they need to face it head on. Because the body language of the Mr. President is not showing any seriousness in fighting this banditry, possibly because, they are from his Fulani clan and rest like that. So we are looking at a situation whereby he's not going to take side. He's going to fight, the banditry, the Fulani S-men that are killing people here and there, giving them 100 billion, setting up radio stations for them. Those are things that will further divide the country. So they need to jettison some of these, policies and face and treat Nigerians equally. The people from the southeast, the Igbo people, they need to carry them along. The southwest people, the Yoruba people, they need to carry them along. The people from the north central, the Gbagis, the Kajes, and the rest, they need to carry them along. They need to carry everybody along, because this Nigeria belongs to all of us. So a president we have should be a unifier, should not be a divider.
So on a final note, will you advise President Muhammadu Buhari to stop the establishment of the Fulani radio?
Of course, he needs to stop it, because already it's generating serious issue in the country. We have Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria that broadcast in Hausa, in Yoruba, and Igbo. If they feel that there's need for them to accommodate more language, of course, there's nothing wrong in them creating, maybe a department or a language belt for them under Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. You understand what I'm saying? If you look at the constitution of Nigeria, we only have 3 languages that were, recognized: the Hausa, the Yoruba, and the Igbo. We have over 200 and something languages in the country. So if every other languages are now agitating that they too, in their own dialect, they want to have radio station, is Mr. President going to comply with that? They said the argument they gave is that they will be able to communicate with the people to stop banditry, to stop killing and rest like that. We used to have OPC in the southwest that, they at some point in time, they derail from their primary assignment and they begin to, unleash terror on people. So why didn't Obasanjo just say you want to open radio for OPC and for exclusive for the OPC? Have a broadband for them, maybe AM for them, that, and say this is for OPC. In Niger Delta, we used to have Niger Delta militancy. We still have it up to today. Why didn't Jonathan say he want to open a radio station for them, maybe in a Bayelsa language or whatever language that they speak there, and say so that they can communicate with them? So these are things that they are way above the expectation in Nigeria. So we are calling on the Mr. President to look at how they are going to reverse this thing and do the needful so that there can be peaceful coexistence in the country, then can reduce agitation of the people. Because government should not be using taxpayers, fund to fund, setting up radio station for a particular ethnic group in the country. What about other people? So this thing will always bring about agitation and bring trouble into the country. So please, we are calling on Mr. President. He should do the needful. He should retrace his step and ensure that he presents himself in a more acceptable manner that every Nigerian will see him as a unifier and not a divider.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adeoye.